The distress signal came through at 400 hours, pulling Minyu from a shallow sleep. He stumbled to the bridge of the UNS Horizon, still rubbing his eyes. The message played again, and this time he heard the fear in the alien voice. "Please, anyone listening, the Republic needs help. They are destroying our colonies. Millions are dying. We are not warriors. We cannot fight them. Please help us." The communications officer looked up from her station. Her face was pale in the blue light of the screens. "Captain, this signal has been broadcasting for 2 weeks. I don't think anyone else is coming." Minyu sat down in his command chair. The UNS Horizon was a science vessel, not a warship. They had 47 crew members, mostly scientists and engineers. They were supposed to be mapping star systems, not answering military distress calls. "Where did this come from?" he asked. "The system, about 3 weeks away at our current speed," replied. She pulled up a star map. "It's outside our normal patrol route, outside human space entirely." Entered the bridge carrying a tablet. She was the ship's and she looked like she had not slept at all. "I translated the full message," she said. "Captain, they're desperate. The swarm is a military empire. They strip planets for resources and kill anyone who resists. They are herbivores from a peaceful world. They have almost no weapons." Minyu studied the star map. 3 weeks there, 3 weeks back. That was 6 weeks away from their mission. Earth Command would not be happy, but the voice in that message kept playing in his head. "Can we even help them?" asked. The tactical officer stood by the weapons console, which controlled the Horizon's minimal defensive systems. "We have mining lasers and point defense. That's it." The chief engineer crossed his arms. "We have tools, lots of tools. Mining equipment, industrial fabricators, heavy machinery. It's not military grade, but it's something." Minyu looked around the bridge. The medical officer had joined them. She was young but serious. "If millions are dying, they need doctors too," she said quietly. "This isn't our fight," pointed out. The AI specialist was always practical. "We don't even know these aliens. Earth isn't part of their political system. We could start an interstellar incident." Stepped forward. "But we know they're dying. We know they asked for help. Isn't that enough?" Minyu was quiet for a long moment. He thought about why he joined the exploration service. It was not just to map stars. It was to meet new life, to make connections, to represent the best of humanity among the stars. "I'm calling a crew vote," he said finally. "This is too big for me to decide alone. Everyone who wants to participate, meet in the mess hall in 1 hour." The mess hall was crowded. All 47 crew members squeezed in, sitting on tables and standing against walls. Minyu played the distress signal for everyone. The alien voice filled the room, shaking with fear and hope. When it finished, nobody spoke for several seconds. "Show of hands," Minyu said. "Who votes we answer this call?" Hands went up slowly at first, then faster. Minyu counted. 39 hands. 8 crew members kept their hands down and Minyu respected that. "Majority votes yes," he announced. "We're going to space. I need everyone to understand what this means. We might be flying into a war zone. We might not come back. If anyone wants to transfer to a shuttle and wait at the nearest outpost, speak now." Nobody moved. One of the security officers stood up. She was small but strong, with scars on her hands from years of training. "Captain, I think I speak for security when I say we didn't join the service to run away from people who need help." Other crew members nodded. A few called out agreement. "All right," Minyu said. He felt something tight in his chest loosen. "Send a response to the, tell them help is coming. Start planning defensive strategies. See what weapons you can build from our equipment. Prepare medical for mass casualties. Everyone else get ready. We leave in 6 hours." The crew scattered to their tasks, stayed behind, approaching Minyu. "Do you think we can actually make a difference?" she asked. Minyu looked at the star map on the wall screen. The system was a tiny dot in a vast galaxy. I don't know, he admitted. But I know we have to try. That's what humans do, right? We see someone in trouble and we help. Smiled slightly. That's very optimistic, Captain. Maybe, Minyu said. But optimism got us to the stars. Maybe it'll get us through whatever comes next. The UNS horizon turned toward space and accelerated. Behind them, the familiar stars of human territory grew distant. Ahead lay the unknown, and somewhere in that darkness, aliens who needed help were waiting. None of them knew yet what the galaxy called Earth. None of them knew about the warnings in alien databases. None of them knew that they were from a Class 12, a planet so dangerous that contact was forbidden. They only knew that someone had asked for help, and humans had answered. The system appeared on their screens after 3 weeks of travel. What they saw made everyone on the bridge go silent. Orbital stations burned in the dark. Debris spun through space, pieces of ships and structures that had been destroyed. Emergency beacons flashed from escape pods drifting without power. My God, whispered. Minyu gripped his armrests. Any hostile contacts? Negative, Captain. Whatever did this is gone. His fingers moved across his console. I'm picking up survivors. Hundreds of pods and some stations still have life support. Begin rescue operations, Minyu ordered. Prioritize anyone in immediate danger. The horizon moved between the wreckage, using tractor beams to pull in escape pods. The first pod opened, and the crew got their first look at it. The alien was small, maybe 4.5 feet tall. Its skin was pale blue, and it had large eyes that took up much of its face. It wore simple robes and trembled as it looked at the humans gathered in the cargo bay. Stepped forward slowly, keeping her movements gentle. She had studied the language during the trip. We received your distress call, she said in their tongue. We came to help. The stared at her. Then its eyes rolled back and it collapsed. Rushed forward with her medical kit. It fainted. Vitals are stable, just shock. She looked up at. What did we do? I don't know, said confused. Over the next few hours, they rescued 234. Every single one had the same reaction when they saw humans. Fear. Some fainted like the first. Others pressed themselves against walls, shaking. A few whispered words that the translator rendered as predators in. Minyu finally met Ambassador Ara in the medical bay. The leader was taller than the others, maybe 5 feet, with silver markings on her blue skin. She sat on a medical bed, surrounded by her people, and her hands shook as Minyu entered. Ambassador, Minyu said, stopping several feet away. I'm Captain Minyu of Earth. We came because of your distress call. Ara's voice was quiet and thin. Earth, you are from Earth. Yes, is that a problem? The ambassador looked at her advisors. One of them, with red markings, pulled up a holographic display. It showed Earth's entry in what looked like a galactic database. Earth Class 12, DATHWRLD contact forbidden. The entry listed warnings. Gravity 1G extreme, oxygen atmosphere highly reactive, weather patterns catastrophic, native life apex predators evolved for persistence hunting, native sapients omnivorous predators, extreme durability pack hunters. Minyu read it twice. This is how the galaxy sees us. You did not know, Ara asked. Your world is famous, it is used to scare children. Behave or they will get you. Nobody visits Earth. It is too dangerous. Laughed, but it sounded bitter. We're the monsters in alien bedtime stories. Ara flinched at the sound. Please, I mean no offense. We are grateful you came. We sent the call hopping for the Concordat, our allies, but they have not answered. We have no one else. The door to medical bay opened and entered carrying a support beam. He needed both hands, and the metal groaned under the weight. Captain, where do you want this for the repair? He asked. Ara made a choking sound. That beam weighs 400 units. It requires machinery to move. Looked at the beam, then back at the beam. Oh, sorry, I'll be more careful. He set it down gently, but the floor still shook. More pressed against the walls. Minyu closed his eyes briefly. This was going to be complicated. Ambassador, we need to talk. Can we land on your planet? We need to assess the situation and plan a defense. Defense? Ara looked hopeful for the first time. You will fight the... We came to help. That's what humans do. But you are a science vessel. You said so in your message. Yes, Minyu admitted. We're not soldiers, but we're from Earth. Apparently that means something out here. The Horizon landed on Prime the next day. The planet was beautiful. Gentle hills covered in purple vegetation, calm weather, a light breeze. The gravity felt light to the humans, maybe 60% of Earth normal. I feel like I could jump over buildings, said, bouncing slightly. Don't, Minyu warned. We're scaring them enough already. The capital was a city of soft curves and open spaces. Thousands have gathered to see the humans, but they kept their distance. Children hid behind adults. Adults watched with wide eyes. Tried to smile at a group of younglings, but they ran away crying. She touched her teeth self-consciously. My canines, they see them as fangs. Forward-facing eyes too, added. Predator traits. Everything about us screams danger to them. That night, Minyu met with Ara and her council in a government building. The furniture was too small for humans, so the crew stood. They will return, Ara said. Our scouts report their fleet is gathering. They will come back in 2 days, maybe less. They want our world's resources. They will kill anyone who resists. How many ships? Asked. 12 warships, perhaps 3,000 ground soldiers. The humans exchanged glances, cleared his throat. Ambassador, we have 1 ship and 47 people. I know, Ara said quietly. I know this is hopeless, but the stories say your kind does not understand the word impossible. Is that true? Minyu looked at his crew. They were scientists, engineers, doctors. They were not an army, but they were human, and humans had always fought when fighting mattered. Give us until tomorrow, he said. We'll figure something out. Worked through the night, his fingers flying over keyboards. By morning, he had hacked into communications and pulled their fleet data. What he found made his stomach sink. Captain, we're looking at 12 warships with full crews, he reported to Minyu in the strategy room. They have plasma weapons, shields, and about 3,000 soldiers. They're trained, equipped, and they've conquered 14 systems. Minyu studied the data on the screen, and we have 47 humans, mining lasers and improvised weapons that is building from spare parts. Rubbed his eyes. The numbers say we lose, badly. Numbers don't account for everything, Minyu said, but even he sounded uncertain. Downstairs was trying to train militia volunteers. It was not going well. She had 50 in the training yard, all looking nervous. She started with basic exercises. All right, we're going to run 1 lap around this field. Nice and easy, just to warm up. They started jogging. After 5 minutes, half of them were gasping for breath. After 10 minutes, all of them had stopped, lying on the ground. That's it? Asked, bewildered. That was barely a kilometer. One wheezed out words, too much, can't breathe. Realized the problem. Evolved on a gentle world. They had never needed endurance. Their bodies were not built for sustained activity like human bodies were. She tried teaching them to shoot instead, using training weapons. The first pulled the trigger, and the recoil knocked them flat on their back. Okay, said, helping them up. Maybe not guns. Another security officer had similar problems with hand-to-hand combat training. He was demonstrating a basic defensive move when his partner tried to copy it. Caught their arm to adjust the position, applying what he thought was gentle pressure. This arm broke with a snap. No, 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 cried, immediately calling for, I barely touched you. Arrived and set the arm, shaking her head. Their bones are less dense than ours. Lower gravity means they didn't need strong skeletons. We have to be incredibly careful. By midday, Minyu called a meeting. His officers gathered around a table in the Horizon's conference room. The mood was grim. "We can't train them to fight like us," reported. "They're too fragile, too weak, too easily tired. I'm not being mean, it's just biology." "The weapons situation is just as bad," added. "They can't handle recoil. Loud noises make them panic. They've never had to fight anything, so they have no combat instincts." Minyu drummed his fingers on the table. "Then we don't make them fight. We use them for support. Evacuations, medical aid, supplies. The actual fighting falls to us." 47 against 3,000, said flatly. "Captain, that's suicide." "Unless we don't fight fair," said. He pulled up schematics on the wall screen. "I've been working on something. We have industrial equipment. Mining drills, plasma cutters, cargo loaders. They're not weapons, but they can be." He showed them his designs. Drilling equipment modified to breach ship hulls. Plasma cutters recalibrated to cut through armor. Cargo loaders turned into mobile gun platforms. It was crude but creative. "Engineering," said with a slight smile. "If we can't buy weapons, we make them from whatever we have." "It's more than that," continued. "We build everything on Earth to survive Earth. Our tools are overbuilt because they have to work in hurricanes, earthquakes, and extreme temperatures. That means they're tougher than anything they have seen." Minyu felt something shift in his thinking. "We can't win a straight fight, so we don't fight straight. We use guerrilla tactics, hit and run, ambushes. We make them fight on our terms." "We need to know the terrain," said, pulling up maps of Prime. "Choke points, defensive positions, places where numbers don't matter as much." They planned through the afternoon. Sent a covert message back to Earth, requesting backup. But even at faster-than-light speeds, it would take 3 months for help to arrive. They would be alone for this fight. That evening, Minyu watched his crew in the Horizon's gym. They were doing what they called a light workout to stay sharp. The who saw it were horrified. The humans ran on treadmills set to high speed and steep inclines, simulating Earth's gravity with weighted packs. They did this for 30 minutes without stopping. Then they switched to strength training, lifting weights that seemed impossible to the watching. After that came sparring, where they threw each other around the mat with controlled violence. Ara stood next to Minyu, watching through the window. "This is light exercise for your kind." "Pretty standard," Minyu said. "We need to stay fit for Earth gravity. This planet's low gravity makes everything easier for us." "You are terrifying," Ara said quietly. "Your bodies are weapons. Your tools are overbuilt. Your minds think of war as a puzzle to solve. I understand now why the galaxy forbids contact with." Minyu looked at her. "Are you sorry you asked for our help?" Ara was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "No, because I see something else too. You came when no one else would. You could have ignored our call. You could have stayed safe in your own space. But you came anyway. That is not terrifying, that is noble." Later that night, shared a meal with Ara in the embassy quarters. The food was simple, vegetables and grain that both species could eat. They sat on cushions because the chairs were too small. "Why did you really come?" Ara asked. "Your captain said you're from a science vessel, exploration, not war. You had no obligation to us." "Thought about it? On Earth we have a saying. We fight for those who can't fight for themselves. Humans spent our entire evolution fighting. Fighting predators, fighting nature, fighting each other. We got very good at fighting. But the best thing we learned is knowing when to fight and what to fight for. And we are worth fighting for. Every innocent life is worth fighting for," said. "That's what separates us from the monsters. We have the power to destroy, but we choose to protect instead." Ara's eyes glistened with tears. "I hope you survive tomorrow. The galaxy needs to learn this about humans. You are not the monsters from our stories." "We're worse than monsters to our enemies," admitted. "But to our friends, we're the best allies you could ask for." The night before battle, the crew made their final preparations. Weapons were checked. Plans were reviewed. Messages were recorded in case they did not return. Minyu stood on the horizon's bridge, looking at the stars. Somewhere out there, the fleet was coming. Tomorrow, 47 humans would face an army. But they were not just any humans, they were from Earth. And they would show the galaxy what that meant. The fleet appeared exactly when predicted. 12 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. They were massive, each one 3 times the size of the horizon. Their hulls were dark and covered in weapon ports. On the bridge of the horizon, Minyu watched them approach. His crew was calm, focused. They had all volunteered to stay at their posts, knowing what was coming. "They're hailing us," said, "audio only." "Put it through." A harsh, clicking voice filled the bridge. The translator rendered it in flat tones. "Unknown vessel, you are in territorial waters. Surrender or be destroyed. The world is ours by right of conquest." Minyu activated his microphone. "This is Captain Minyu of the United Nations ship Horizon, representing Earth. They are under our protection. Leave now or face the consequences." There was a long pause. Then the voice came back and it sounded amused. "Earth, we have no record of Earth. One small ship dares to threaten the swarm. Your species is either brave or stupid." "How about both?" Minyu said. He cut the channel and turned to execute the plan. The Horizon did not wait for them to fire first. It dove into the debris field from the earlier battle, using the wreckage as cover. The ships opened fire, but their plasma bolts hit destroyed station parts instead of the human vessel. Piloted the ship like it was an extension of his body. He wove between debris, using pieces of destroyed ships as shields. They were bigger and stronger, but the Horizon was faster and more agile. "They're spreading out to surround us," reported from his station, "trying to cut off escape routes." "Good," Minyu said. "That's what we want. When they overextend, we hit them." The Horizon suddenly reversed course, accelerating toward the nearest ship. The aliens did not expect such an aggressive move. Before they could react, brought the Horizon alongside their hull. "Boarding teams go," Minyu ordered. Airlocks opened, and magnetic grapples locked the ships together. Minyu led the first team himself, wearing an emergency vac suit and carrying a plasma cutter modified into a weapon. Behind him came, and 6 other crew members. They breached the hull and poured inside. The soldiers were, with hard shells and multiple limbs. They outnumbered the humans 5 to 1 in the corridor. They opened fire with plasma weapons. A bolt hit Minyu in the shoulder. The pain was incredible, burning through his suit and scorching his skin. But he did not stop. His adrenaline kicked in and he pushed forward, firing his plasma cutter in controlled bursts. The soldiers froze in confusion. The human had been hit. He should be down. Why was he still fighting? Threw a concussion grenade. In the confined space, the blast was devastating to the sensitive antennae. While they reeled, the humans advanced, using close-quarters combat tactics that the aliens had never encountered. Grabbed a soldier and threw it into 2 others, using Earth's heavier gravity conditioning to his advantage. Even in zero-G, humans were stronger than they should be. "They're not stopping," an officer screamed in their language, monitoring communications from the Horizon translated for Minyu. "They are wounded but still fighting. What are these creatures?" Minyu and his team fought their way to the ship's bridge. The captain tried to seal the doors, but his modified plasma torch cut through in seconds. The boarding team stormed in. "Surrender this ship," Minyu said. His plasma cutter pointed at the captain. Blood ran down his arm from his wound, but his hand was steady. The captain stared at him. "You are bleeding. You should be incapacitated." "Yeah, well, I'm having a bad day," Minyu said. "Surrender now." The captain's mandibles clicked in what might have been shock, but he lowered his weapons. Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, and his ground team held the main city's defensive perimeter. 400 soldiers had landed, expecting easy conquest. Instead, they ran into 8 humans. The humans had chosen a canyon as their defensive position. It was narrow, with high walls, which meant they could not use their numbers effectively. They had to come through the canyon in smaller groups. His team had spent the previous day setting traps, mining charges buried in the ground, cables strung across the canyon at neck height, invisible until too late, sections of the wall rigged to collapse. The first wave of charged in, and the canyon became a killing ground. Explosions ripped through their formations. Falling rocks crushed entire squads, and when they finally reached the human position, they found 8 waiting with improvised weapons and zero fear. The battle lasted 16 hours. The humans did not sleep, did not stop, barely slowed down. Their endurance was inhuman to the who needed rest cycles every few hours. When soldiers tired, the humans pressed the advantage. In orbit, executed a maneuver that would become legendary. She volunteered for a solo mission to disable 3 supply ships. The ships were clustered together, thinking they were safe behind their battle fleet. Approached in a small maintenance shuttle, flying dark to avoid sensors. When she was close enough, she vented the shuttle's atmosphere, using the explosive decompression as thrust to launch herself at the first ship. She crashed through a viewing port, wearing only a vac suit, and landed inside. The aboard panicked. A human in a torn vac suit should be dead, but was moving, using pieces of shattered viewing port as weapons, stabbing with the sharp fragments. She fought her way to the ship's control systems and overloaded the reactor. Then she jumped to the next ship, using debris as stepping stones in zero-G behind her. The first ship exploded. By the time she disabled all 3 ships, they were calling her the Ghost Soldier. They did not believe one being could do what she had done. But the humans paid a price. 3 crew members died in the fighting. 12 more were wounded, some critically. Worked non-stop in the medical bay, treating burns, broken bones, and plasma wounds. The medical staff helped, learning human anatomy on the fly. How are they still fighting? One doctor asked as she treated a human with a broken arm who refused pain medication. Adrenaline, explained. Human bodies flood with chemicals during combat. It suppresses pain, increases strength, sharpens focus. We evolved to keep fighting even when injured because giving up meant death on Earth. After 16 hours, the Queen herself appeared on the communication channel. Her image showed an enormous being, far larger than the soldiers. Enough, she said. We did not expect resistance. We certainly did not expect the system is not worth this cost. We withdraw. Minyu, exhausted and wounded, sat in his command chair. Smart choice. Tell me, human, did you enjoy this battle? You fought with such intensity. Minyu thought about his 3 dead crew members, about the pain in his shoulder, about the children he was protecting. No, we didn't enjoy it. We did what was necessary. There's a difference. The Queen's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Perhaps we will remember Earth. We will tell others of the who protect the weak. That is a different kind of terror. The fleet jumped away, leaving the system. On the planet below, they emerged from their shelters to find the humans still standing, still guarding them, still ready to fight if needed. Ara approached, who was sitting on a rock cleaning blood off his armor. You held them. 8 against 400 and you held them. Looked at the canyon now with battle damage. Yeah, we did. How? Because you needed us too, he said simply. That's enough reason for a human. The footage spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Someone had recorded the battle, and now every species with access to the galactic network was watching humans fight. They watched Minyu board a warship while wounded. They watched jump between ships in hard vacuum. They watched 8 humans hold a canyon against 400 soldiers. The video became the most viewed content in galactic history within a week. On the 3 days after the battle, Minyu stood in the central plaza. His arm was in a sling from the plasma burn, but he refused to rest. Around him, thousands had gathered. They no longer looked at humans with fear. Now they looked with wonder and gratitude. Ara stood beside him on a platform. She wore formal robes for the ceremony. "People of," she announced, her voice amplified across the plaza. "We asked the galaxy for help and the galaxy was silent, but one species answered. One ship came. 47 humans stood between us and destruction. Today, we honor them." The crowd erupted in cheers. The sound was strange to human ears, more like musical tones than shouting, but the emotion was clear. Ara turned to Minu. "On behalf of the Republic, I propose a formal alliance. The Human Alliance, the first treaty between our species and a civilization. Will you accept?" Minu looked at his crew gathered below. They were bandaged, exhausted, but smiling, gave him an encouraging nod. "On behalf of humanity," Minu said, "we accept, but I want to make something clear. We didn't come here for glory or territory. We came because it was right. That's the deal. If we're allies, we protect each other. No conditions, no politics, just people helping people." Ara's eyes shimmered with tears. "That is all we could ever ask for." The treaty was signed that afternoon in the council chambers. It was a simple document, written in both languages. Mutual defense, cultural exchange, open borders. The basic framework of friendship. Read through it carefully. She had been studying law during the voyage and wanted to make sure humans understood what they were agreeing to. When she finished, she looked up at Minu. "This is good," she said. "Fair to both sides, though I think we should add a clause about cultural sensitivity training. We need to learn how not to terrify our new friends." A child approached cautiously. The child held out a flower, purple like the vegetation on their world, knelt down slowly, making herself smaller, and accepted the flower with a gentle smile. She kept her lips closed to hide her canines. "Thank you," said softly in. The child smiled back, then ran to its parent. Other children began to approach the humans, less afraid now. It was a start. That evening, a new ship arrived in orbit. It was massive, far larger than the horizon, and it came with an escort of smaller vessels. The emblem on its hull marked it as belonging to the Concordat, the defensive alliance that had ignored its original distress call. The ambassador requested a meeting. Minu met him in the government building with Ara present. The ambassador was tall and thin, with silver skin and 4 arms. "We came as soon as we could," the ambassador said, "when we heard about the attack." "You're 3 days late," Minu said coldly. "Where were you when the distress call first went out? That was 3 weeks ago." The ambassador looked uncomfortable. There were political considerations. They are powerful. Intervening could have started a war. "It did start a war," Ara said quietly, "and you were not here to fight it." "But you are here now," the ambassador said, looking at Minu. "After it's safe, convenient timing." The ambassador straightened. "I came to extend an invitation to Earth. The Concordat would be willing to consider human membership, given your obvious military capabilities." Minu laughed, but it was not a friendly sound. "You ignored calls for help, but now you want us in your club because we won. No thanks. We'll stick with our actual friends." He gestured to Ara. The ambassador left empty-handed, and word of the exchange spread. Other species took note. Earth had turned down the prestigious Concordat to honor a treaty with one of the galaxy's smallest powers. It said something about human priorities. Over the following weeks, more ships arrived at Prime. Not warships, but small vessels carrying diplomats and scientists from species across the galaxy. They all wanted to meet They all wanted to understand humans. Some came with fear, asking for non-aggression pacts. Others came with curiosity, wanting to study human biology and culture. A few came with hope, representatives of small, vulnerable species who suddenly saw a new option for survival. Logged every contact request. "Captain, we're getting messages from 24 species. Most of them are from low-gravity, peaceful worlds. They're all asking the same thing: would Earth consider protecting them too?" Minyu rubbed his temples. We're one ship. We can't protect the whole galaxy. Maybe not yet, said. She had been appointed as Earth's ambassador to a role she had accepted reluctantly. But the treaty we signed opened a door. Other species see that aren't automatically enemies. We can be allies, protectors. It's going to change everything, added. The law prohibiting contact with was based on fear, but we just proved that species can be trusted. Other Class 12 worlds exist. What happens when they see what we did? Had been monitoring deep space communications. She looked up from her station. We might find out soon. I'm picking up a message from Earth. High-level diplomatic traffic. And there's a fleet coming, Captain. A real fleet. Earth Command is sending warships, colony ships, and diplomatic vessels. They'll be here in 2 months. Minyu felt the weight of that information. Humanity was about to become a galactic power, and it happened because one science ship answered a distress call. In the weeks that followed, helped engineers design new defensive systems. He taught them human engineering philosophy, build everything to survive the worst possible conditions. If it could withstand Earth's hurricanes and earthquakes, it could withstand almost anything the galaxy could throw at it. Why do you build so tough? An engineer asked, watching design a shield generator with triple redundancy. Because on Earth, nature is trying to kill you every day, explained. We learn to build things that last, things that don't fail when you need them most. It makes our stuff expensive and heavy, but it works. Trained doctors in human medicine, though she had to be careful. Your people are more fragile than us, she explained. But that doesn't make you weak. It makes you adapted for a different kind of world. We're adapted for survival on a, you're adapted for peace on a gentle world. Both are valuable. 1 month after the battle, Minyu stood on the Horizon's bridge, preparing to leave orbit. The ship had been repaired and the crew was rested. It was time to return to their original mission, though nothing would be the same. Ara came to see them off personally. She stood in the landing bay, looking small next to the human vessel. "Will you return?" she asked Minyu. "The fleet is coming," he said. "Earth will establish an embassy here. We'll stay as our ambassador. We've made a promise and humans keep their promises. You're not alone anymore." "Neither are you," Ara replied. "The galaxy feared Earth because they did not understand you. Now they see the truth. You are dangerous, yes, but you use that danger to protect the innocent. That is the rarest thing in the galaxy, power combined with compassion." As the horizon lifted off, Minyu watched the capital shrink below them. In the plaza, he saw something that made him smile. Children and the few human crew members who were staying behind were playing together. The children were still nervous around the humans, but they were trying. And the humans were being gentle, careful with their strength. "Where to now, Captain?" asked from the helm. Minyu pulled up the star charts. There were so many systems, so many worlds they had not explored yet. But's console was already showing new distress signals, faint calls for help from distant corners of the galaxy. "Pick the nearest distress call," Minyu said. "Let's see who else needs help." Raised an eyebrow. "We're making this our mission now, answering calls for help." "Why not?" Minyu said. "Someone has to, might as well be us, we're good at it." The horizon turned toward deep space and accelerated. Behind them, Prime was safe. Ahead, somewhere in the dark, someone was calling for help. And the would answer. The galaxy was learning a new truth. Humanity was not the monster from their nightmares. Humanity was the friend you wanted when nightmares became real. When the plea for help was sent, they answered. And they always would.